Hello, John Tapp again. I'm going to do a short demo of how to use the OSRAC P. It's a interval-based uh, sampling code that's commonly used with Lily. It's been around a long time. It's kind of was ported from IntMan, which is my original interval-based coding platform years ago. And now it works in Mooses. So I'm going to demo that coding system and show you how to collect a file with it and do a simple frequency analysis of the output or the data that you collect. So first off, we're going to start with Mooses just to show you how the code file is set up, and I've already done this. And if anybody wants the code file, they can just ask me and I'll get it to them. But there's quite a lot of codes in this. But the key thing is give them all separate codes and some descriptions. This is the descriptions from the OSRAC P manual. And the key thing is to have everything set on interval sampling, a collector label, and the row and column that you wanted on the screen for the collector, Lily collector. And then when you do that, you can also, I'll also give you the Lily file, but you can, if you want to change it, you can change where things are on the screen and say save it as a Moose's Lily code file. And this tells it rows and columns. And the other thing is to have the groups all set as count. The group numbers don't really matter, but each group is in a mutually exclusive, exhaustive set. So one of these has to be on for every interval, and the data is recorded at the end of each interval. So that's how you set up the code file. And again, you can have it if you want it, so you don't have to go through all that. But if you want to change, leave some of them out, or you can delete them, or change where they are on the screen. There's 20 rows in the Lily collector with up to 5 columns. So the other thing is to set Moose's Moose's files, Lily fixed intervals files in Lily format. You want your Moose's set that way. So that's how you do the setup in Moose's, and I'll come back into Moose's in a minute and do the analysis. But let's collect some data right now. Okay, so the data collector is named Lily. I'll run it, put it on the screen for you. That's what Lily looks like. There's a timer box that lets you start the timer. You can also start the timer from the menu. It's right there. But we'll change the preferences to the way they should be set for the OSRAC P. So pick the code file, and again, I can give you that, or you can save it from Moose's. But it is a different format. This is a different file from the Moose's code file. And then I believe the OSRAC P was set to like 28 seconds of observed time and 2 seconds of record time. And for simplicity, I'm going to go to maybe 300 seconds instead of, so it's not so long. And the other thing is you may want to change the default settings for the buttons, so because there's a lot of buttons on here. I set it to 150 wide by 30, and then I set the button font to bold. Don't want to do multiple participants for this, but you want it on interval mode with however long your session's going to be. and observe time of 28, record time of 2, but it will just save the set of the buttons, state of the buttons at the end of 30 seconds. But these numbers just prompt the observer and the audio to observe and then record. So that's how you want to set it, and when you pick that code file, you can see that all the codes are on here. We have different groups, and like I said, each group is independent, so it's one of them is going to be on for the interval. You can see how if you just turn one on, it turns all the other ones off. So we got our code file set up. So you read down here on the status part, it tells you what to do. Open a new file. So I'm going to do a new file, and we'll call this test file 4. Save that. This header line can be used for data analysis later, so you can put anything you want in there, but the default is the date and time. And when you name files, you want to make them named after the subject and the collector, and come up with a naming scheme for your files where they can never be the same. So you want to name them after the guy you're watching and who did it, and maybe the date or the school or something, whatever makes sense for your study. But do name the file so you can't have the same file name, and you can't and you can tell by looking at the file name what it is. It's just best to do that. Okay, so now you read down at the bottom, it says set initial state and start the timer. So we're watching the kid and say they're doing moderate activity of running, and we're watching a child, and they're in a group with peers, and they're outside, so we'll say they're playing games. And this is the inside column over here, so it's going to be on the NA, and this is our initial state of what's going on. So then we start the timer. Start. It says begin observation session now. You probably didn't hear that, but you'll hear it when you're collecting. And then at 28, it's going to say record. Just to tell you the time's coming up, but you can really change this anytime anything changes. So when it goes past the 30-second mark, it saves the state of these. So let's say they went to sandbox. If you have a tablet with a touchscreen, you can touch these, and it's pretty quick. So let's say now they're standing. Don't know if I caught that in time. So we're going to go to 300 seconds, which is another few of these. So I'm going to pause for a second till the time's up. Okay, time's almost up. And we collected about 10 intervals worth of data. I didn't change it very much, so we'll see in the report that a lot of them are the same. Look at the time, it's almost done. Set end observation session. Should tell me. Ending thing going on. Okay, so it came up and said time's up. As soon as I clicked on it. So I'm going to say OK. So now we've collected a data file, and you could start a new file, or you can whatever you want to do at this point. So look at that data file and do a little bit of analysis on it just to show you how to do that, and then we'll be done with this demo. So I'm going to start Moose's up again. It starts up on the other screen. So I have my code file picked. I have an output picked for the output to go into. Don't want the pooled. And for this, I'm going to do a text file. And then I'm going to take that test file that I just made. It was test file 4. And drag it in here. You can drag as many in here as you want. As you can see, it's there now. And you could do a bunch of them if you wanted to. So I'm going to run a test read just to make sure that works. Oops. Forgot to clear the test file from the other day. Clear. Run a test read. So it read it. I'll clear it again. And then I'm going to run some event frequencies. Run. So you can say it was on moderate, all 10 intervals, on child, all 10 intervals. On this, I'd switched a couple, so I had 2 in run and 8 in stand. Switched a couple here, but you can see this tells you how many intervals there were in each thing. And if you want, you can send it to a comma separated file. So if you had a bunch of files that you wanted to do analysis on, so let's do that real quick. So this has the number of intervals for each code, and it would be a row for each file. So you could use that to do rates or whatever else you want to do with it. It would you could build a database of your sessions that way. So that's the idea. I'm not going to save this. Recording and running some simple analysis on the OSRAC whichever OSRAC it was. OSRAC P, there's a few versions of this. OSRAC P code. So I hope that helps, and as always, ask me if you have any questions. Signing off for now.